Adobe InDesign is another extremely powerful tool in the Creative Cloud suite. It's used for laying out documents of all kinds, books, web, documents, PDF documents. That's what all your lectures I make in the PDFs. You can design websites and apps with it, like to get a basic wireframe of what you're doing with them. Menus, posters, any of that stuff could be done in here, as well as Photoshop or Illustrator. What we're going to do is work on a booklet. So I'm going to give you the basics of putting together a little book design. This is the open page. You'll see here it has a bunch of preset sizes, and for me, I use it so much. It's got all of the projects I've been working on. What we're going to do is we're going to do create new or custom size. I'm going to hit create new. And that opens up your standard new document window. Again, it has recent files I've done. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do an 8x10 booklet here. I can switch the orientation 10x8, 8x10. I'm going to do 70, well, I'll do 8 pages. It's going to start on page 1. And I'm going to have facing pages so it actually looks like a book. Here on margins, I'm going to put a 0.5 margin here. We'll go ahead and preview it so you can see what this is going to look like. So in the background, I can see what's going on. So that margin is this here. That's like, I don't want things printing outside of that. We can ignore the bleed in slug. Actually, I'm going to put a bleed in. A bleed's like what you're willing to get chopped off. So I'm going to put in a 0.25 bleed. And I'm going to click that so they're all linked. Okay, and I'm going to create that. So you'll see the bleed is out here. That's like what might get cut off at the printers. This margin here is like, I don't want anything on my page past that. So within the blue area is where I mostly want all of my text and anything like that. Now, this little blue line's not going to print. That's just there for me to snap things to. So it's like having a guide in Photoshop. I could also, let's go back in, File, Document Setup. My intention is for print. I should be able to put columns in here as well. Adjust layouts. Well, I don't see the columns. That's okay. Alright, now the basics of this, same as all the other Adobe. You have all your tools over here. The modifications to the tools up at the top. The panels off to the side. I have this set for book, but you can do digital publishing, essentials, classic. I usually work with books, so I'm going to make a book. Now I have it set up also like a book where the first page, let's say that's like the cover, and then I can see the two facing pages. So when I'm laying it out, I can see how the pages will look next to each other. You could set it up under your document setup. You just take the facing pages off and it will be all single pages. So if you're making like a PDF or something, that would probably be better. And if you're turning things in PDF format, you could design it this way so you have a sense of what it looks like together. You could turn it in this way, or you could turn off the facing pages. Some people like to design across the page. That's fine. Okay, now some of the basics of how this works. First off, I can have what's called a master page. So I can make multiples of those. I could add a new master page. Master pages is like, say I wanted this one to be the chapter opener page. And these here are called frames. So say I always wanted like an image up there and then some text down here. I could set that, preset that. Now this frame tool that I'm doing, these make boxes that we can drop things into or put text into. So I'm stretching this out. Now a cool thing I can do is just press my arrows to the side, and I can add more or less columns, and then I can go up and create subdivisions like that, like if I wanted to put a bunch of pictures in. So say I wanted the beginning of my chapters to always look like that, and then the next page would just be 3 columns. I'll do that. And then I want the rest of the book to always just have 3 columns. So I was going to make like a 80-page book, and every 10 pages I was switching things up. I could preset that in my masters. Then I could come to this page and apply masters to page, and I could pick master A. Well, actually, since it's not a double page spread, so I'm going to go back to the master here. Let's new master. Do a master C. Because that one starts on the second part of the page, it's not picking up what I wanted. So I'm going to come back to master A. I'm just going to copy all of this. Command C. I'm going to go down to master C and paste in place. We'll paste it right where I put it. And I'm just going to move that over. Like in Illustrator and Photoshop, if I hold Option while I drag, it will just carry, it will duplicate everything instead of just drag it over. Okay, now I'll come back to this page. So right now I have master A applied, but master A has the 3 columns on the second page. So I'm going to apply master to pages, and I'm going to change that to master C, and now I have that. And then you'll look at this has that front page on it, which I don't want. So I'm going to change this to master B. And now you see I have all my columns. And then say this spread here, I want master A still, because that's like another chapter start. And then down here I want to apply master B to pages 6 and 7. And to page 8 I want master B as well. So now I have all of my pages have like a consistent layout throughout the book. I don't have to do that. I could relay out each page new. Okay, now what I can do, I'll have some art here, and I can drag the art and place it, and you'll see how it locks into that preset frame. So that's what the frames do, is they provide something to go into instead of just dropping it on the page. I could also drag and drop just a piece of art onto the page and resize it. But if I want that consistency throughout the book, so if I wanted that, I could put that in there. Now, the other thing you can do with frames, and I could also program this into my masters at the beginning so I don't have to do it every time, is I could go in and go to fitting and fit content to frame. So that's going to stretch it to make sure it just all fits in there and the proportions change. I could also do fitting fill frame proportionately, so that makes sure the frame's filled, but the content doesn't get stretched, so some of the content gets cut off. And I could also do fit content proportionally. That maintains the proportions, but it fits the whole content. So for this one, I think the best thing to do would be to fill the frame proportionately. Now if I want to move it, I can click that frame. I'm grabbing the frame when it's blue. If I double click it, it will activate red, and that then activates my ability to move the content within the frame. Okay, and I could decide I wanted to slightly stretch the content and move him over, and that maintains the frame. Or I could just click out here to deactivate and decide that I wanted to change the frame, but then I'm working outside of my margins that I set. So I'm going to keep that like that. Now I've got an image set, so that's like my chapter opener. You'll notice a lot of the same tools over here: text tool, pen tool, shape tool. Those all work just fine in this program. Gradients, so those will all be familiar. But with this program now, I can go, I shouldn't even need to drag it. I'll just take the text tool. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to drag it. And now I can type in to here. Okay, so I can control all my font. Or I could pull up, let's just pull up something on the internet. Normally I'd have like a Word document, but let's just say long bit of text. Random text generator. This will be funny. Alright, I'm going to copy that. And I can just paste it right into here. Should be able to paste right in. Maybe it didn't copy. Okay, so I can paste that in there. Now notice it didn't all fit, so I can click on this little plus button here, and then I'll just drag this out to fit that. Click on the plus button again and drag it out to fit this. And you'll see it continues the text from where it was at. Now if I edit the text, you'll see that it starts to go backwards. Okay, so a live edit to the document. And this can carry on down to the next page as well. I can go ahead and grab that little plus sign, bring down here. So I can control my text throughout the entire document this way. No, it didn't do it. Grab the text. Okay, now I've got the text active. Nope, still not doing it. What's going on here? That just stretched it. There we go. You see I've got the text now. Okay, and I'll stretch it. So that will keep it going. I could also have all of these boxes preset, and then the text should just like go into them. They'll be linked together. So you can see already I'm getting like a magazine design. I could pull this down, say I wanted to put a header in there, and you see that scrunched all the text down. And I could go ahead and do dude. Change the font. There we go. That's a nice thick one. Make it way bigger. It's too big, so it's not fitting. There we go. So I'm going to click on this and just start to increase the text size. All of the text editing that you have in terms of kerning and all of that, that's all up here, just like you would have in Photoshop or Illustrator, so that doesn't change. Here I can also reverse. I want to I'll fit the frame to the content, and that will let me move this up. Okay, so I can stretch things around like that. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to shrink the frame down. I don't even need to shrink the frame. Click on it, I can move with the arrows. Alright, so it's got a lot of editing capabilities like that. Up here, I've got the gap tool. That will let me grab the gap in between the bodies of text and slide that around if I wanted to like shrink a column for whatever reason. That is a cool tool. Another thing I can do, let's go ahead and place this image. And I'm just going to drag this. Well, I didn't need to drag it. I'm just going to just select it. And I want to align it like I did in Illustrator. So align to page, and then I'm going to click align to the middle, and I'll align it there. Actually, let's shrink this a little bit. So I shrunk the frame, and I'm going to fit content proportionally to shrink the image. And I'll align it to where I wanted it. Now over here I've got text wrap, so I can click on this, and then the text will avoid the edges of the picture in different ways. So like totally below it, on either side of it, going around it. And when I'm in here, let's do that one. I can say by how much. So I'm going to say 0.25. And right now it's set to just be on the top. So I'm going to click this and make sure it's 0.25 all the way around. I'm going to unclick that. I want to get some text on the side here. We'll do 0.1. .25 on the top. Let's do 0.8 on the bottom. And 0.2. I mean, it looks like crap to have that little bit of text there. Okay, that works. 0.1. But you see you can play with those factors. Nope, we want to keep that. Now, say I didn't like the fact that this page is white and I want a color in the background. What I can do is just grab the shape tool, and I'm just going to make a big rectangle. I'm going to go all the way out to the bleed, which is off the page, because when we print we want it to hang off the page. And I'm going to go in and select the color here. So we'll select, let's say 15% gray. Now that shape, it was the last thing I put in, so it's on top of the stack. So I'm going to right click it, and then under arrange, I'm going to not just send backwards. Send backwards will just put it, the order you put things in is like, if you think of the stack, the last thing you put in is the furthest up. So what I want to do is send it all the way to the back, and then that could be the background color for the page. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and delete it. The other, well, if you do that, but then you try and go select like this and you want to drag to select something, you're going to select everything you drag over. So object, click it, object, and lock it. And now that's locked in, and I can select all this other stuff. I'm going to undo that and delete this. The other way you can do it is like if I wanted every title page to have that color, I could come into the master, and I'd copy that so I can just paste it in there. I'll put that on the master, and then you'll see that that will immediately apply it to this. And since it's just part of the page, it's already locked. I'll never be able to touch it. Up here, I could go in, say I decided later in the process that I didn't like that color. I wanted something really obnoxious for some reason. I could go select, oh, nope, there we go. Go select an annoying color, and then when I came back here, it would be in that color. Any of the text I could select, and I could change the fill, so I could change the text colors. Oh no, that's going to fill the box. We want to undo that. I want to actually grab the type here. So I'll go in there and select all, select the type, and then I can put a color on the type. I should be able to put a stroke around the type as well. So if I wanted to have black, this would be like vector graphics in Illustrator. I can also just like, if I have my graphics here that I made in Illustrator, which I want you to include your logo that you made, I go in there and just copy it, just paste it right in. And you'll see that it's still directly editable like a vector graphic. It hasn't rasterized it yet. So I could go in. Nope, that's not what I wanted to grab. You see I haven't locked things, so I was grabbing something I didn't want. If I go and put my dog, like I could put the dog down there and maybe put the number in the dog or something, that would be cool. As it gets smaller, like, that's too thick. So maybe I'll do 1.5. That looks pretty good. So I'll be able to get vector graphics in there real easy by copying and pasting them. You could import them in there as well, but I would just copy and paste from whatever other program. So you can have any of those assets that you've created. You'll be able to bring in any JPEGs that you make in Photoshop, any of the lettering. Like if you have an easier time creating lettering in Adobe Illustrator, you could make your lettering in there and then import it and continue to mess with the options there. Let's see. Go ahead in there. Well, I already showed you how to edit the stuff in there, so we don't need to do that. So it's a really robust program that brings together everything that we've done so far can be put in here and then formatted and then ready to print. So I'll do one more lecture next week showing you some of the other options and how to export things. But that's the basics of InDesign. And because you've learned the other programs, you should be more familiar with most of the other tools that InDesign offers you.